I'll do a kind of an odd piece called Dr. Meat. This is another one of these sort of things where I get a story and then I use as many facts as I can, and then I fill in the rest and build a little fiction around it. My girlfriend and I were house sitting for my sister and her husband in North Calgary, and she went out one morning to try to find meat for sandwiches because we had some nice bread and we just wanted some salami or something to put on it. And she came back and told me this tale. It's again sort of interesting how a song can sort of take on another life, or end up having sort of a little, almost more meaning than you thought it would. I started performing this one, and I made a recording of it, and I ended up getting a very heartfelt email from somebody who worked in an immigration and employment center, saying that the story of Dr. Meat was one that was actually quite familiar to her, even though it's not real. So I emailed her. I said, I just made it up. She said, that's okay. But rhythmically, I knew I had this idea of a fellow from Iraq who came to Calgary, and I mean, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I wanted to make the music. I didn't want to make it a typical sort of 4/4 folk song. I wanted it to have a slightly more exotic flair to it. And so I have a really good friend in Montreal who's a violin player, and she plays with a Moroccan band and a Serbian band and an Algerian band, and she, whenever I go and see her play live, I'm amazed at the rhythms, of how complicated the rhythms are. And I'm not able to imitate those rhythms, but one thing I did get from her, that after asking her to show it to me, was the fact that many of the beats just had the main beat on the 1 instead of the 2. So instead of it's like, and I thought, well, that's enough for me. I'll just take that, and I'll try to build a song around the 1. So this is Dr. Meat. I was looking for cold cuts on Canada Day, but the shops were closed and I was headed home when a car backfired and my vision strayed to a mini mall across the street. A black sign on white saying Dr. Meat. Inside I saw no meat, just cans and dried goods on plywood shelves, the prices in red felt. Saltine crackers, jam, 2 pairs of shoes and scraps of fabric. Not much more, part bunker, part junk store. Dr. Meat was all in blue. I said, I'm looking for sandwich meat, but it looks like you might not have that. He said, I don't understand what you're saying. What are you driving at? I said, I'm looking for sandwich meat, but it looks like you might not have that. He said, I don't understand what you're saying. What are you driving at? I said, some kind of meat to put in sandwiches, like roast beef or salami. Salami, he cried. Yes, yes, salami. And suddenly he was fawning, lovingly, longingly, looking at a half salami in his cooler next to a cluster of plastic grapes. You must say how much you want. You must say thick or thin. But first, listen, do you believe that back in Iraq I was a doctor of medicine? He took an oath to serve the sick, but here he stands instead. It's easier to serve things that are already dead. For years he endured, he cured Sunni, Shia, and Kurd. He had a practice in Tikrit. Now he's Dr. Meat. He took out rubber gloves and snapped them on his hands. I thought, great, he's going to check my prostate. But he said, I also have sausage from Sudan, from Tunisia, and Lebanon. Lebanon, I said. Yes, yes, but no pig, no pork, no ham. I am a religious man. Here it is done, 182 grams. I couldn't bring myself to say it. Dr. Meat, you didn't even weigh it. Then he leaned in like he was confiding in a lifelong pal. This one's on me, and all the meat's halal. He had healed his country in the first Gulf War. He'd seen more blood than an abattoir floor. A cousin in Calgary sponsored the doctor, got him out of Iraq and the visa fast-tracked. But reality of life in his adopted nation deflated the elation and expectation. His credentials could not be transferred, was the word from the Canadian Medical Association. I backed out slowly, my sliced salami packed neatly in styrofoam and plastic wrap. Profuse thank yous and a promise to return. He said, business is slow. It's as though you people are always on vacation. I said, don't worry, Dr. Meat. It'll surely pick up. You run a fine operation. He took an oath to serve the sick, but here he stands instead. It's easier to serve things that are already dead. For years he endured, he cured Sunni, Shia, and Kurd. He had a practice into Crete. And now he's Dr. Meat.